Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video on fractional indices. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to convert between radicals and fractional indices. So when we say fractional indices, we're talking about a power that is a fraction. So something like a to the power of b over c. Radical just means a root sign. It can be a square root, cube root, whatever. So the rule for fractional indices is when you have something raised to a fractional power like this bottom number tells you which root to take, and the top number is what the base is being raised to. This is how we convert between fractional indices and radicals. So for example, if we had something like 16 to the power of 3 over 2, the bottom number tells you which root to take. The second root is just the square root. And then the top number tells you what to raise the base to. So this would be the square root of 16 to the power of 3. So 16 to the power of 3, if you were doing this in your head, would take a while. You can actually do it in either order. What I can do is I can do the square root first or the 16 cubed first. It doesn't matter. So this will be the square root of 16 cubed. So that is 4 cubed. Square root of 16 is 4. Cube that, you get 64. That's how we raise numbers to fractional powers. So if I had something like x to the power of, let's say, 4 over 5. That would be the fifth root. The bottom number tells you which root to take. And then the top number tells you what you're raising the base to. If I had something like y to the power of negative 7 over 3. So remember, if it's a negative power, we're just going to put it on the bottom of a fraction and write it with a positive power. So if I want to write that as a radical, so the bottom number's 3, so it's going to be the cubed root, and the top number's 7. So this will be 1 over the cubed root of y to the power of 7. So we just reverse the process to go the other way. So if I have something like the 8th root of a to the power of 11, well, that's just going to be a. Now, whichever root it is, that number goes on the bottom, and then the power of a goes on top. So these two are equivalent. So let's look at a couple of examples in which we're using fractional indices combined with other index laws. So let's say we're asked to simplify something like this in index form. Well, this is in index form, but this isn't. So to change this in index form, we need it as b to the power of something. The square root of b is just b to the power of a half, just like cube root is something to the power of a third, and so on. So the index law we need here tells us if we multiply the bases, we add the powers. So we just add 6 and a half, and then you get b to the power of 13 over 2. And that's all there is to it. So another question you might be asked to expand something like this. So hopefully you remember the rule for perfect binomial squares. You square the first, you square the second, but there is a middle term, and it's 2 times the product of the two things in the brackets. So applying this rule to this here, I would square the first, so that's just a squared. Then I'm going to square the second, so that is 1 over the 4th root of a, all squared. And what goes in the middle? 2 times the products of the two things in the bracket. So 2 times a times 1 over the 4th root of a. Now, if I want to simplify this in index form, so I'm going to leave the a squared alone. I'm going to write 1 over the 4th root of a as a to the power of negative a quarter. So the reason it's a to the power of a quarter is 4th root of a is a to the power of a quarter. The reason it's negative is it's on the bottom of a fraction. So I can do the same for the last term as well. This will be a to the power of negative a quarter squared. So we have a squared. Leave the 2 alone. Here we're going to add the powers. So 1 plus negative a quarter is to the power of 3 quarters. And here, negative a quarter times 2 is negative a half. So I would get plus a to the power of negative a half. So that's how I'd leave the answer in index form. If I wanted to convert to radicals, leave the a squared alone. So this would be 2 times, now a to the power of 3/4. The bottom number tells you which root to take. And then the top number tells you the power of a. And similarly, a to the power of negative a half, well, it would be on the bottom of the fraction because it's a negative power. It would be 1 over a to the power of a half, or 1 over root a. Alright, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.